So this will be into our last match of the night of week 4. We're nearing our halfway point of the entire season, and we're nearly done already with the spring season.
We've seen Glass banned away every single game so far tonight
Glass,
as well.
You know.
It's Glass. That's going to change soon again with the changes coming in. Very interesting. Does not get the yellow outlines when he is moving, so has to stay still. Cannot be playing entry fragger anymore. Jackal, I think, is a really good ban here as well. Actually, for both sides, because based on what we've just said, neither side probably going to have strats. There's going to be a lot of roam play, a lot of gun play. If you can have someone hunting down someone who's trying to play quite isolated and separate like that, well, who else you want to ban away except for the Jackal?
And plus, Jackal's a bit of a multitasker. He can be played as a soft breacher, like a buck, like a sledge. He has that side shotgun that's so great at opening those vertical holes. Great ban. Maestro, no surprise. We've seen how pesky those Maestro cameras can be. Echo, again, you have an IQ. Shouldn't be an issue. Hopefully they bring an IQ. They realize, okay, so there's Valkyrie cameras on the board. There's also Echo drones on the board. This is where we always insta-pick IQ. So I'm still, there you go. I'm still curious to see the roster changes on Wind and Rain to see how they will perform. You know, people talk about the almighty US shuffle that is coming very soon, I would imagine. You look at the Prem shuffle. You look at it.
We don't wait for our roster mania.
This
we
has
just
been
start
crazy
whenever we
this
want.
week. I looked at it. So originally there was 40 players on who started off this season. We've now added 16 new players since then.
Well, if you want madness and you want a taste of what's to come in NA, where do you go? You go to the ESL Prem in the UK. We've got it all, boys. We've got it all. 4Ks galore, roster swaps mid-season, you name it.
Feels.
Strat saving.
Strat saving.
Hey, man, he said it on an interview. Said it themselves.
The only pro team you're expecting that to happen.
Yeah. Hey, man, it happens. I'll take it.
So we will head into a statuary defense, quite a different pick. More than likely we see Games Room being that most heavily defended. Kitchen, now and again, gets a little bit of play. You can get some pretty interesting strategies for that, especially attackers. I love watching the attacks play out on a Kitchen defense. But for this defense, we're expecting a bit of a room presence. 90 corridor is where we're really expecting a lot of the gunfights to go down. You can see a bit of prep. Just one bit of barbed wire. It alerts Vexed that, yeah, we're going to be playing inside of 90. Challenge us if you dare, and also rotation hole in towards Vault, and he will also castle that off. This is a great strategy, a very pickpocket strategy where you just kind of play it very fly, you play it very adaptability, which we've always talked about, and it may surprise Vexed.
And that's what I think this whole map is going to be about. We spoke about it during the warm-up as well, and we said that for both sides, this is going to be about getting winning frags and upsetting the enemy team, keeping them always guessing as to what's going on. So imagine for both sides, you will see not so much unconventional strats, but different takes on popular strats that you'd normally see on Villa coming through.
Kai is already looking for the gunfights, and that quick bandit trick will eliminate some of the X-Kairoses, but not all of them. And another bandit trick comes out that will get the remaining X-Kairoses as well. Only some of them still. You can see that Habana is placing them on both sides of the wall, so you're at least getting something if a bandit trick does come down. You don't have to worry about Kaid, who, of course, we know will be added very shortly, but at this moment, still not allowed to be played. And you can see, Vexed are looking for the fight. They want the kills. They want to try and get up close and personal, but that could be their undoing as Dumplin is eliminated by Blackout.
Already. Not so much the quickest start as well. It did take a good minute and a half for this to all kick off. Definitely been a slower start than what we've seen in other games, but you can see they're basically taking over Master Bedroom here on the east side, pushing in towards the bomb. I think they've got 3 members over here right now. Even left the plant very safely outside as well, just to make sure nothing too unexpected happened. They've got 1 member playing off towards the south side here as well. Looks like it's Jesus, just lurking on the windows, popping in to say hello. A couple of holes coming through as well. Nothing they can actually breach through because of those bandit tricks, but they do have the sight holes if they want them there. The problem is, of course, that doesn't actually get you onto point itself, so you're going to try and find an alternative angle. Immediately trade outs, and Harris finds the second one as well. Pi trying to follow Jesus on the way through, and suddenly Vexed initially tried to get through the wall, failed to do so, then tried to push point, failed to do so, and it looks like, by the looks of it, Demo, in terms of completing this round, they'll fail to do that as well.
Vexed have tried to just force their way in. This is Villa. This is a map where you have to set out your strategies. It is a very defender-sided map that we've talked about so much. If you get the defense in Villa, you automatically have an advantage leading into the game. They're bringing Habana. Why not just bring the Thermite? It's more reliable. You get those bigger holes. And plus, if Bandit is trying to bandit trick, you're bringing Maverick anyway, so where's the issue with a Bandit trick coming in? That's why Maverick is great, because he is that glorified Thatcher that doesn't have to worry about any Bandit charges coming in. Vexed have really just played this very sloppy. They haven't did any of their angle check-ins. They haven't managed to successfully pull off their main push, and it's really let them down. They're trying to force their way in through the 2 doorways. That is just a choke point.
It's what the worst thing was they were forced to play through that choke by their own errors as well. Yeah, putting literally everything into trying to get through with the Hibana charges came back to bite them. I feel if you're going to rely so heavily on trying to make that wall play work, you bring double hard breach. Otherwise, you find yourself getting your Hibana picked off early, you find yourself in the same spot. At least give yourself that double insurance just in case something does go wrong. But they are hard punished for it. Wind and Rain, 1-0, of course, is their defensive side as well, and we just said a second ago, it's quite defensively favoured. So may well end up going the same way when it comes to Vexed on their go-round as well. Going to stick to the very similar style as set up last time round, not even bringing the Maverick, so I like that at least the Maverick is there if they can use him, and actually manage to get themselves to the wall. They dropped it out late last time, they've got it now, they do have that breach option with him, even if it's not strictly the best option.
Another thing as well that you have to remember is this is a group where I think everybody from Epsilon could get relegated at the moment, which is a very scary aspect to think about, that we could be losing one of these big 4 to a relegation battle potentially. So there's a lot of pressure really on the shoulders, where in this group anybody can beat anybody. That's one thing that we can definitely say, is we see these back and forths between, oh yeah, Vex got beaten by Wind and Rain, and Wind and Rain get beat by Unnamed or get beat by Epsilon. And then all of a sudden Epsilon get beat by Vexed. You know, this kind of mix and match that we're seeing so much.
Yep.
And it's a very scary aspect.
Attacker's objective is to defuse a
group of chaos, I think I like to call it. One's a group of death, the other one's chaos. Then what have you got, like famine and pestilence and war and... You know, like, that's what's the 4 horsemen. The 4 horsemen's groups of death. It's a very strange name for all of them, but we'll go for it next season. I like the sound of that. It makes it sound very chaotic and dark and miserable. And Siege is not a miserable game. It's a fantastic game.
We have some pretty bright scenery, as you can see by Villa.
Villa's very beautiful.
The beautiful Villa of Tuscany.
Yeah, the very beautiful Villa that's currently being torn to shreds with shotguns and explosives and you name it. I'd hate to see the property value of that go down afterwards.
Sorry, this has been used as, like, I believe the lore of Villa is this is used as a smuggler point, and this is where Alibi went undercover to try and take down these rare art dealers. That's why you see like painting rooms and statuaries, because that's all been stolen from different museums, and that's why Alibi's been brought in. And she was a double agent, and she's been brought in to try and steal off all of the art, and yeah, that's what she does.
Everyone else doesn't really steal it, they just do a great job of smashing it to pieces. But that first minute's down and out of the way. Vexed, at least this time around, have not lost a member early on. It was about 1 minute and 35 last time where the action really kicked off. By this point, they'd already used all of their X-Kairos as well, trying to get through the wall, and have been hard punished for it by that bandit on the other side. This time around, there is no bandit there, so they will be relatively uncontested when it comes to actually getting through the wall here as well. They know exactly where the bomb is, they know what they're going for. They've got a huge gaping hole there to get themselves in, one in the back corner as well. There are options for them on the attack here. It's just trying to find out where the defenders are, because as you can see right now, no one is in sight, despite a drone being basically bang on the point.
So they have decided to go for that very popular strategy where you try and force your way in through Laundry. They have a couple of holes opened up, also get rid of the castle barricade. Great use by Pi. No smoke, no cover, and they're going to try and stick the defuse. Zach will have a bit of a battle against the Valkyrie and also lose that, but the diffuser has been stopped by Harris because they didn't have any smoke grenades to cover the defuse. It will go inside of a 3 versus 3, however, and here comes the flank from Vex. He picks up one inside of a 2 versus 3 is where it lands. Dumpling a kill, back and forth it goes. Another one for Vex. Blackout and Vex against Dumpling. The Scotsman, what can he do with the R4C? He knows there's one still lurking inside of Laundry. Tries to fight against the smoke. Sees the smoke. 1 versus 1. Where will this take us? The diffuser is in the hands of Vex. Still has these stun grenades. Has 2 of them still left. But the hole being made by the Maverick will put it to rest. Ash falls. Jaeger stands victorious. And Wind and Rain, 2 rounds in the trot.
Vex playing so, I don't want to say solo queue, but it feels that way at the moment. Sending 4 or 5 members through the same choke point, we've seen teams punished for this. They got punished for it in the first round by trying to funnel everyone through the same 2 choke points. And they were doing it again there. They got the drones in, they had the visibility, and were like, oh, well, I guess no one's there. Let's go for the play. There was a lot more work to do there, I felt, around actually getting clear onto other areas of the map. They're just not taking control of Villa. They're literally finding the smallest number of rooms they can have and actually push towards the point and going for that and leaving basically the rest of the map to Wind and Rain to do whatever they want with.
It looked good. It really did. It started to look well. They got the first pick,
and then
which was important. But the big thing was not because of the cover coming in from the smoke grenades that I did touch upon. That's not a big issue, because you can still just refrag, which they did, and then pick up the diffuser and plant again. It's the fact that Feral, I think it was Feral, no, it was actually Dumpling on the Ash, who was upstairs in bedroom. That hatch is right above the laundry, so if the defender gets access of that, that's your round done. The fact that he dropped the hatch to try and pick up the kills, instead of staying, cost them that round.
Because they got immediately dropped behind as well.
Jaeger came in 5 seconds later. If he'd literally just sat behind the bed and waited for Jaeger, because automatically, whenever the calls come in, oh, they're planting laundry, they're planting, Jaeger's going to rush straight towards that hatch. If he had stayed there and got that kill, that would have been round win for Vexed.
It was a very funneled attack, and you said yourself they're quite rushy in terms of how they play. We saw it quite a lot built into them. Wind and Rain also had some time of doing it as well. But Vexed is almost kind of synonymous with the org itself. It's just a case of actually making it work and keeping your back covered at all times. Playing it safe, you might say. So Wind and Rain, that whole round, they didn't even bother playing point. They just played for the retake in a sense, but didn't even let them get the plant down in the first place. So really nice, solid start by them, going 2-0 so far. Let's see how Vexed choose to mix things up, though. Twice now they've tried to play through two very narrow push points, and this is always the problem with this map, I think, is although, yes, there is a lot of vertical visibility where you can get a lot of frags down, the problem is you often find yourself being followed into rooms where you'll get yourself in a very tight spot. Not Tyrant already being dropped at least gives something to Vexed. I don't think he expected to see them there because they've been playing as such a group so far. To have one man off by himself and getting frags like that, that's the kind of surprise that Vexed have got to bring to the party.
So they have took the first blood, which is a great thing for Vexed. They have already the upper hand. Wind and Rain have to play a little bit more passive. Good stuff from Speed. Manages to find the refrag onto Zach. So that's Thatcher gone. And no bandits that they have to worry about. So again, losing Thatcher isn't the biggest loss in terms of utility factor. Speed, however, has the C4 and he's been left to roam below. That's a big no-no. You really need to shut him down as quickly as you can. I believe he did get drowned out by Jesus, who was stationed there in towards that main door. Vexed also on the roam, so they have two to find. But then again, they're nowhere near the bomb site. If Vexed see the potential, they could just push straight into bomb site, take control, and that's going to be a round win for Vexed. They've already took control of 90, they've opened up parts in towards the vault, but they still have to find the two remaining anchors. One inside of A-bomb behind the bar, and Echo being located inside of the study.
Again, it's more that case where they're all playing so tight together, though. You can see even just through the outlines there, there's 3 or 4 of them all gathered super close together, and Warren just sat at angles where they can see these push points they're going for. It's been exactly the same story as the last 2 rounds. The big difference here is that members of Vex, in that case Feral, almost went down to it. They are finding kills across onto the other side, so it's not the end of the world for them. It's just about converting it into a round win. And this feels a lot like the games of old, where they're being pinched now in the final 45 seconds. This is where mistakes start getting made by the attacking side because they're running out of time.
So he doesn't have a C4, he cannot deny the plant still. You have 2 gas canisters on Blackout, along with those Echo drones. And Harris playing inside a study, a great position for him. Speeds on the flank, manages to find Dumpling. Pi will try and go for the plant right in the open, and that will be the kill for Speeds to down, and Harris will clean up onto Feral. It goes into a 2 versus 1. Jesus into a 1 versus 1. Blackout versus Sledge. Pi, no way he's getting picked up in this scenario unless we do see a very big play coming in from Jesus. Diffuser as well has to get picked up. He's going to try and hunt for the kill. Blackout there at Vault. Nade gets cooked. He still thinks he's behind the A-bomb. And Blackout, easy cleanup. Speeds, MVP of that round.
Huge plays of the flank coming out as well. And that's exactly what we were speaking about. Vexed are literally funneling themselves through one small spot as a whole unit. Wind and Rain are then finding long angles, they're flanking behind them. They are almost collapsing on Vex. We saw it in the first round with the drop. In that round, it was getting behind them in the vault itself as the plant came down. Vex are just almost playing unaware. It feels blind at points, where they're not aware of where the Wind and Rain members are, and they're letting them get away with whatever they want to.
So this will complete the rotation for Wind and Rain. They have 1 free bomb sites on the trot. Not an easy thing to do for most cases, but again, on a map like Villa, it does play in the hands of the defenders. So they get to start all over again. That does mean that the kitchen and the games is locked out at the moment. They now can go back to that trophy room and statuary, Or if they wanted to, they could have went library as well, but we're not really expecting that bomb site because it is certainly the weakest of the four. Still viable, but I still think it takes a certain team to crack that code. So we head back up to the statuary. We did see Wind and Rain defend this last time, but again, that was down to a very sloppy Vexed attack in my eyes. They haven't changed anything from their lineup for, I think, these entire rounds. It's been the exact same 5.
It has, and there's no real need to, I guess, on the side of war as well when it's been working out as well as it has. I mean, attacking side, like you say,
It's been
they did choose to bring out the Maverick. Like, the last 2 rounds they brought the Maverick. They did drop it the first round in the 6th pick. They've now kept it on side. This is where I'm curious to see what they change up. Because last time round, they assaulted this double wall here where Not Tyrant is currently sat. They managed to get a couple of the banner charges off and get some sightlines in there. Wind and Rain didn't care. They just held angles and watched the choke points which they had to push for and punished them once they tried to go for that. So they have to get this double wall open if they're going to make this work, or try and take a different angle onto the point itself.
I would like to see them try and pressure the Bandit a lot more. Let's remember what you came back to whenever we were talking about Villa as a map. Destructibility from below. You can nade out that Bandit. Also, you can shoot open the top of that triple wall, and you can toss a nade over the top of it to try and kill Bandit. There's options here that Vexed have, but they're not thinking about what they have available to themselves. They need to get Zach in a better position. They've been playing him more as kind of holding these flanks for some reason. You're a sledge. You want to be up close and personal, have those frag grenades. All it takes is Feral to open up the top, which they will start to do. Flashbang goes in, eats up the ADSs, and then the nade follows suit.
A bomb has been located.
Star, it's almost like they're listening to you, Demo. Almost.
Well, this wouldn't be the first time I call it right.
Well, let's see if they actually make it work out for them. No nades being thrown over just yet. It's more having the option there if they do choose to go for that play. The big question now, of course, is why? Or when, sorry. They've got the IQ sat around as well, which is a big one. Just making sure they know exactly where any of those gadgets are. And the answer so far is, well, there aren't any. What I do like is Vexed are making sure this time around at the very least they are managing to get some drones in. Look at this, by the looks of it. They've got through pretty much cleanly. There's going to be no chance of any of this getting blown up. They've got the whole wall open. Now they can start trying to execute the play they struggled to last time. First smoke canister comes out at 1:35. That's very early.
So Zach, we said we want to see him use those nades to try and get rid of that Bandit. This time they've did it, I think, with just the flashbangs. They've decided to blind the Bandit so he doesn't exactly know where his Bandit charger is being placed, which is great stuff from them. So they have got the wall open, so they've improved dramatically since the last time they tried to attack this bomb site, but they're still very congested, very grouped up. Big kill from Zach, because that's the guy from below who did, like we've seen time and time again, has decided to go for those flanks and those rotates. Vexed also below, and Feral will start to have the plant. A 3 versus 3. You still
flank
have
again.
Right? Once again, you can see them trying to force their way in, but this time it will work. The diffuser is planted, and could we see Vexed take their first round?
You saw Wind and Rain going for the exact same strategy. They're just a little bit slower to execute it. This time he's going for that flank, coming up behind everyone else. They've got one inside already. Can they find the second? No, they can't. Jesus on the Maverick will trade that one back over. It's all down to Not Tyrant in a horrible situation. Gets one. Can he find a second? No, he cannot. Jesus. Well, he has been reincarnated. He's been doing big work in that round with 3 kills to his name. And Vexed finally will get a point on the board.
So we move into round number 5. A little bit of light end of tunnel for Vex. Certainly they managed to pull a round back, but still a lot of work to do. Either way, Wind and Rain, they have managed to at least break even. On a map like Villa, you want to at least have a 4-2 lead going into your attacks, because then certainly Vexed, as a defender-sided map, they're going to have a lot of fun with that. They can start adapting, putting different players in certain positions. We know that Feral can do massive things, and really we're still waiting for Pi to have that one round which just sets him alight. It's kind of like a stick of dynamite in this circumstance. As soon as you get that guy going, he's just going to explode all over your teammates.
Well, hopefully you don't overcook him and he explodes inside the oven, right? Need a bit of time for it. You've got to make sure it
doesn't cook in
right.
you know, for example, and just blow stuff up.
Oh, mate, the number of teams that we saw that happening with at the Invitational, just like trying to nade a hole, dropping through and killing themselves, was like, please, please. But it happens at all levels. No stress about that. Vex actually swapping some stuff out this time around, then bringing the Zofia to the field with the Dokkaebi also coming on side, which I quite like. We're going to go back to that same bomb point again. Wind and Rain, as we saw in every single round so far, have been trying to play for the flank. They let Vex push in, let them do what they want, and then go for the retake while they're still trying to set up in their positions and try and capitalize there. Last time round they were a bit too slow, and this time round Vex are going to know they're coming thanks to that Dokkaebi.
5 seconds left before insertion.
So I am liking that they have decided to change up. You know, they've brought in also Sophia, so they've completely dropped the sledge in favor of having those nades, and also Ash. Quite surprising you're dropping Ash. You know, she is looking at statistics. Inside of rank, that is, she has the most successful pick and win rate successful operator. That may be why she has no more telescope on her gun, and she can join Bandit and also Smoke and Sledge and also Jaeger in the Hall of Fame. Rip. But hey, there's always good things to look at. Now we can run the G36C.
Just talk around that, but I think you're still going to see the R4 picked up as the main.
If you play 4-3, typically me and Fraggers do play 4-3. It allows you to have that more closer in sight. Holographics not an issue. We still see people play holographic.
Holographic's still quite popular, even at the Invitation. It's played quite a lot.
It's not an issue. It really shouldn't be an issue. Sure, you don't have that CMAsh thing, but I think it's more so that the R4C with an ACOG had no recoil, which is massive. A gun has an ACOG, no recoil. It makes it already a great gun because you have that automatic advantage with your scope, being able to fight those longer range battles. Quite similar to the way the MP5. That's why another reason I think MP5 has also gotten the nerf. There's reasons behind it. But in the end game, not going to affect it overall.
Still going to see the same style of play coming out, and this time around, Wind and Rain reinstating their dominance with that first opening kill onto the Maverick. One of the big kills we spoke about, and I said to before, bring the double hard breach if you're going to try and play this style of play. Well, Vex was in a nice spot, but the second man walks into the room. He didn't know which one to look at and got himself blasted by both. More of an execution than a kill there, it felt like. But they have got this wall open already, so they've actually got that spot in there, despite already losing off the Maverick. That Hibana's done the work that they need. Now it's a case of getting in there, getting that plant down once again.
And of course, the reason why they did open this up is because they sent Zach below with those Sophia charges, opens up right below Bandit. He can no longer Bandit trick that. This is going to be a really... No, he just... Whoa, that's a bounce spot and a half. What game is this? It's a different FPS. We don't do bounce trick shots, do we?
We do now, apparently. Oh! Bye-bye, Dumpling. Not Tyrant. Definitely sounds like a Tyrant to me, bringing him down there as well. Blackout gets another. Into a horrible 4 versus 2 situation. The Dokkaebi coming out so late, though. Even when there's 2 men left here, they're getting the kills off the back of it, though, mind you. It's done wonders for them. Feral and Pi each taking a kill. Turn this into a 2 versus 2. We are into the dial in 40 seconds or so. They're going for a spray there. Tyrant super low. Pi. Well, he's been well cooked in that oven demo. He's a beautiful chicken and mushroom pie coming out there. A pucker pie, you might say in some cases, getting themselves into the spot in a 2 versus 1 for Vex to bring this back into a 3-2 and show that they aren't out of this yet. It will go down. Speed's going to be approaching, and he had a fantastic round last time around. You called him out as being the key player for them in that round. What can he do here to upset the odds and bring this back for his team in this 2 versus 1 situation?
Has to work a lot harder than what he's already doing. The drone will spot him out so they know where he is. All they have to do is hold the angle onto one door. He sees a body run past them. A very deep angle being held by Feral. The Fuse tries to come in, takes a very simple peek from Pi. That'll be all she wrote. The Deagle comes out at 1 versus 1. Still a lot of work to do. Tries to go for the play. Only have 3 shots in the Deagle, and will go back with the counter to Fuse. Will Feral make the same mistake?
Oh!
That'll be all she wrote. And right, I kind of bet myself to yes, I know the game inside and out. I know a lot of things inside this game. That smoke grenade that was tossed by Feral, he got me. I didn't know he could do that. And that is a very, very strong one, because if you guys missed it, that smoke canister bounces off, so automatically you pull the pin, that's a detonation sequence. It bounces off, and it falls straight through the skylight, and it explodes right in the middle between where you can see those 2 big balconies overlay. So whenever you try and push in towards the single, the guy, typically it would be Echo, holds that angle from the doorway inside of the other bomb site, completely cut off. Amazing. I have to say that. That's great.
That's what you get when you're one of the coaches, one of the best teams in the world, mate.
You learn something new every day inside this game. It's great. There's so many things.
There's always some tweaks or changes or optimizations.
That's great. That's really good.
I've never seen you so like wowed.
I thought it was quality. It really was.
It was. It's an interesting use, and like you say, not something we've normally seen.
I want to see that more, because he kind of cracked the code, because typically that's a very hard area to try and do that. It's great. Because typically you would see, yes, smoke grenades come in, but then you kind of have to expose yourself to toss it, and then you could die from that. Such a safer option, and it works no wonder.
Play the skylights more, boys.
That was great.
Forehead. It was great, and it got them the round win overall, so Vexed can't be complaining too much. And this is probably going as close as you could want from these 2 teams as well, based on the previous result. 3-2 to Wind and Rain. This is the final round of this half. We will see the side swap over. And it did take Vexed a few rounds to really respond. It took them a while to realize what Wind and Rain were doing was letting them take the point and then going for the flank before they get a chance to set up defensively for the retake. And as of that, last round was pretty close, admittedly, but Vex definitely waking up, it feels, in some ways, and starting to bring the fight back to Wind and Rain.
Deploying drone.
So we will head to Kitchen. Last time we seen this played, it was a Wind and Rain win on their defense. And of course, I say that's completely down to Dumpling, who was holding the hatch, drops, and then 5 seconds later, Jaeger comes out of nowhere and cleans up the house. So that's something that they have to work on, is knowing their positions. We've seen that Villa, a very big map. Jackal's not available for either side, so it really does give Roamers that free range to do what they want, which we have seen displayed by Wind and Rain, both from Vexed and from Speeds as well. Hopefully Vex have adapted to this. They have an idea usually where they play. We see Vex kind of lurking, you know, right downstairs inside the basement because it's an area that people do not want to waste time. It's a big map. There's a lot of ground to cover, and whenever there is different staircases, he can then try and run away and rotate up through. Then yes, the right decision is to hold your angles for the defender in that circumstance, but they didn't do that last time, and that's the sole reason why they lost the round.
Who'd have thought angles were important in Rainbow Six Day demo? Everyone. Also, they should be, unless you ignore them, in which case you get hard punished for it. But let's see if Vex can bring this up to half and half. Jesus playing, well, watching his backside, you might say.
Never really see that open.
No. It's a weird spot to find a castle playing in, admittedly.
It's a very weird position that we ever see that rarely open. A bit of a once-in-a-blue-moon opportunity. And you can see Jesus just quick snap, and that puts Harris in the dirt.
Still trading things back out, 4 versus 4. Jesus losing on that Ash as well. Again, one of the big picks for them. Now off the board. I'm still watching. I was going to say Habana's the big one for them because of that heart breach. That's now gone down as well. Looks like Wind and Rain might just convert this into a 4-2 half. They've almost managed to bring Pi down as well. There we go. Not Tyrant. Some other trading everything back over as well, though, into a 2 versus 2 situation. But looking at those health bars, currently it's playing on the side of Wind and Rain. 45 seconds remaining. Those phones are still going off. Last time this happened, they found 2 kills in quick succession. Haven't quite managed to make it work in the same stroke here. Prowl's got that smoke down on point now. They can start looking towards getting that defuse in. Even got Pi watching from above. He needs to be so wary on the rotate here that he doesn't get picked off on the way through. Into those final 30 seconds, looking towards Vex to not be making the big mistakes that we see teams so often do when it comes to that panicking moment where you're forced to make the plant. But they're coming up against a smoke and a Lesion, 2 of the worst ops you could hope to come up against when you're trying to rush onto point and make a big play. There's even a castle reinforcement on that door as well, so the angles in are so limited here. They've got to try and make it work for them. There's the goo mine. Immediately get behind them though. They've done it again. Vex have turned it around and brought down Tyrant now into a 2 versus 1. They've got no health left on them. One's down as well. They've got to turn this back around. Yes, it will work out for them. The defenders win that round. Not quite enough for Vex to be able to get the plant down, but when one man's down and one's got no HP, what do you come to expect?
It just kind of plays into why defenders is so sided for this map. First of all, we've seen that early roam presence come in. Sure, we've seen Castle get picked off very early on, playing that very aggressive, that soft wall that we don't ever really see open. I think it was more of a one-time thing. Hey, if we manage to get a pick, it works. If it doesn't, well, hey, we'll see if we can try and pull it back from there, which thankfully they did. But it just, you can see Legions, smoke canisters, everything that just plays in the way. You know, that Legion mine specifically won them that round. Let's be real here. If that goo mine didn't pick him, he would easily have sprinted in, jumped over the table, and kill that final remaining member. And that's why Legion at the moment is very strong. And, you know, there is a part of me that wonders, yes, Legion very strong, but yet they keep nerfing his gun rather than the actual gadget.
Well, it's been nerfed now, hasn't it? Damage has gone down.
It's went down to, I believe, 4 ticks.
Yes.
But again, that's coming up next patch, not at the moment.
And I feel as well, like, damage being nerfed is a great step with it. Cooldown is probably the big one. Because there are so many of them in so many key choke points. I feel it should play the same way that you'd expect from other defender or gadgets, whereby you can't cover everything as one. You have to spread out where they're going and say, right, we want a castle here, we want a goo mine there, for example. Take your pick and spread them out, rather than being able to literally throw them here, there, and everywhere.
But at the same time, that's why IQ is an operator.
Very true.
Because she is that specific counter. It seems to be that every single patch, IQ never gets buffed. Yet, they bring in operators that then buff her. You know, it's a very interesting strategy that they've went for. Is okay, to buff an operator, we bring out operators that she counters.
It's a very precarious balancing situation. Same with like Mute getting that buff now that Dokubi's in the spot
an
where
indirect, I believe an indirect buff is what we call it.
Exactly, we do. And trust me, I come from a bunch of MOBAs.
Oh, yes.
Indirect buffs are the worst thing when you've got a roster of
Siege,
100+ characters.
Siege is that game which is a mix of a first-person shooter and a MOBA.
It's unlike any other.
Unless, I would say, yes, 75% is about the FPS aspect, but 25 is all about these Counter-Strike operators. Why you pick these specific operators in these specific situations. You know, we're not talking like about, you know, like a MOBA where they would last like an hour. You have those set 5 champions, gods, whatever you want to call them, whatever game you come from. For Siege, you can pick a new lineup every 3 minutes, which is great adaptation that we talk about so much.
What's most impressive is the fact that it's not just a MOBA and an FPS mix. I think because the fact that there is so much strategy in it, it employs, like you've watched when you're...
tactical as well, that's another thing.
The tactical side of it, you can always tie it back to like an RTS style game as well, where it is mixing so many things together. And it's all those elements come together, you literally do have unlimited possibilities in terms of what you can do. One person holding a different angle completely changes the way a round plays. It's beautiful. And in this case, Tyrant getting picked off is also going to completely change the way that this round plays. As Vexed currently have the numbers advantage on their first attack. I've only just noticed as well, Feral is bringing that Caveira as well. Can he get an interrogation? There's no Doki here to be interrogated, sadly. Which seems to be the running meme in the UK scene for the most part. I'm not sure we're looking for something at the very least as well. Also getting a nerf in that patch when it comes out. Gun damage going down.
So already you can see the difference in Wind and Rain. They're bringing the Thermite. They want to open up these walls. Zach, another kill for him on the speeds. And this is where we start to worry for Wind and Rain, because if they're starting to get torn apart very swiftly and very precise from Vexed, that's only the first bombs that they have. You still have the kitchen to go through, which is again another Roman paradise map where you can try and play up top as aggressive as you can. A team like Penta Sports for Villa, their kitchen hold upstairs, very deadly. They have great roamers on their side, and they work really well in congestion with each other. So there is certainly things that Wind and Rain should start to worry about. At least they're getting off a good start where they are already knowing, okay, Thermite is a must-need. We've seen Vex try and play that without the Thermite. It did come to cost them, I believe, 2 rounds. It's a bit of a worry in that circumstance. But for Vexed, they have a little bit more fun. They have more operators to play with. You can see Vigil, which is an operator that was not chosen by Wind and Rain. They really preferred their castle strategies, which did help sometimes, but for the most part didn't really affect Vex too heavily. But that Vigil, so deadly in so many ways, and in a map which is a maze. You know, you look at all the rooms, they're very narrow, very tight-knit together. You don't know what room he could be in.
That's part of the beauty of Villa, though, I think, is that there are literally so many rooms you can play around and so many corners you have to be concerned about when you come charging around. End of that last round there, for example, when we saw the IQ playing outside, Harris just kind of lurking around as well. He peeled away thinking, oh, I can't really win a direct gunfight here. Came back to peek, and Dumpling had actually moved towards him to push outside. Just showing that with Vex, it's not a case of them saying, well, we're going to sit here in old angles. We're willing to push and extend our hold further than it is at round start, enough to chase you down and make sure we close these rounds out. That was a very dominant defensive round. Question is now, can they keep on converting these into wins? It was 4-2 at the half. They've got to try and win this round 5-1 if they want to clinch the map away, or we find ourselves heading in towards a draw.
Yeah, again, it's always possible. This is a map where we could see the draw. Typically, you're expecting, if Wind and Rain take it 4-2, you said Vex could maybe win it 4-2 as well, and then we do end it with that draw because it is such a defender-sided map. But the difference is, whoever has that slight edge inside of that second half, and at this moment and point, it has to be Wind and Rain to at least get these 2 rounds on the board to get a draw. 2 rounds on the board doesn't sound like a hard thing to do, but it's Villa, which is a defender-sided favourite map.
Yes. All about those strats. And it felt at the very start of this map, the Wind and Rain had that sort of nailed down with the flanks they're pulling off. Whoa, Tyrant almost getting gunned down. Again, not one of those that you want to go down. They've also brought themselves 2 hard breaches, although they've changed it round. Haven't brought the Hibana, have actually opted instead to look towards bringing that Thermite. Now, much bigger risk, of course, when you're playing into a team like this. Might find yourself getting impact tricked off by the Legion if it comes down to it. Depends exactly where we see the Legion choosing to play, because for the most part, as we've seen all day long, Legion's been playing off by themselves, catching people out with those goo mines, and just basically causing an absolute nuisance to themselves.
Feral trying to go for a quick run out, has that accessibility with those Valkyrie cameras, however the first blood will go in favour of Wind and Rain, as that will be Zach gone. That's the big Vigil eliminated, but still, Tyrant has took a lot of damage from that, and You still have, you know, the Vigil still can provide intel with those Valkyrie cameras, kind of as that dead man who can rotate the cameras and be the Echo drone. So sure, he's dead, but still not useless in this scenario. Speeds will find Jesus, so that is going to be the Echo gone. So those Echo Sonic bursts are no longer going to be in play, which is a big dampener, especially on a map like Villa, where you want to try and deny the plant away from the attackers. Dumplin wins that gunfight against Sophia. Great shot from him, but has treated quite a lot of his life away from it. We do see the Maverick go down, but we'll try and get picked up. That's good from Blackout as well. It gets them back on track, 2 versus 3, as Tyrant will get picked back up.
My biggest worry here is the Wind and Rain. They're doing the same thing that Vexed did, which is funneling everyone into, again, in the same room, through the same doorway, and trying to go for the same push, which can work out fine. But if you walk into the wrong angle that someone is holding and find yourself losing 2 or 3 members, you're in so much trouble. And admittedly not, Tyrant went for that angle, lost the head trade-off against Dumplin, now into a 2 versus 2 between them. Dumplin down to, well, almost nothing here when it comes to actual HP. In a very tough spot, but they find themselves with the 1 kill as well. Can they get the second? Pie with a huge spray down. Finds himself onto that double kill, pulls it back for Vexed. And we are going 4-4, ladies and gentlemen, as we head into round 9.
Well, a massive round for Vexed, a one which, looking at it, they really shouldn't won. I'm gonna call out Tyrant. In that scenario, you don't need to start over-peaking. All you need to do is try and secure that plant. All 3 of them are stacked up outside a triple wall. I would have liked to see one of them rotate. If one of them had rotated up towards the roof, dropped down and came in through that 90 corridor, you could have had a free kill on towards Legion, who was that big lich pin that really shut you down inside of that match. If that was the case, it probably would have went inside of Wind and Rain's favour. So little things that you have to really look at. You still have a bit of time. It doesn't take that long for Maverick, who's a free speed, to rotate. You know, he's very quick, very aggressive. So there is things that Wind and Rain have to look at and certainly do better. But in hindsight, still 4-4. There's time for Wind and Rain to bring it back. But really looking at it, we could be staring down the barrel of a draw potentially. The way it keeps going back and forth.
Which would probably do justice for what we expect of this game. And that does make future weeks very interesting. The final 2 weeks coming into it as well. Again, these 2...
scary.
Yeah.
Very scary.
It puts them in a spot, essentially, where you've got one team sat 1 point ahead of Unnamed. The other team drawed on 4 points with Unnamed, and they'll all be scrapping to go for that final spot. It will make for a really interesting end to Group B. Well, first and foremost, let's have to, of course, see how this actual map ends. Otherwise, that might not even be a possibility. One of them might just catapult themselves ahead and find themselves in the driving seat when it comes into week 5 next week. My biggest concern here is the Wind and Rain keep on repeating the same mistake we just saw, which is sending 3, 4, 5 members all through the same choke point, just like Vexed in their opening 2 rounds, and you just keep on getting punished for it. Vexed aren't even trying to play it in a sense of where they're trying to go for a flank behind them like Wind and Rain were. Their whole stance is let's just hold an angle. Let them go for the peaks they don't need to take, and we just win off the back of that one. Both sides really capitalizing on the other's mistakes.
So Vexed, they will be having a kitchen defense for themselves. This will be their first time. I think they're going to try and play for the vertical control. Typically, we do see the attackers try and push in through Laundry like we've seen Vex on their attacks, but then we've talked about that main Laundry hatch, which is that big thing that you really need to protect as an attacker, but equally as a defender you want to try and control it, so it is a very contested choke point that both teams are trying to fight over, but they have used a lot of utility to open up these certain positions. Also, equally, we have seen castle barricades being deployed by Zach, and they've tried to delay as much time as they can. But Wind and Rain, they're going to try and go for a room clear out. First aid gets tossed out, and you can see that impact need also being made, so it makes Vex worry about a potential 50-50. Pi does get tagged up, and Feral just gets in through bedroom and finds Vex. Harris, however, has a refrag, but still, you know that they're roaming in towards statuary. You know that main bedroom's going to be a position they want, and you just completely give up your flank protection. Feral, you're right beside him. You don't see him. Yes, you do. Oh my, I'm getting flashbacks to what like week 2 was.
What is this? Guys, this is not even organised play anymore. May as well have gone to multiplayer, press ranks, gone for Q, and jumped into a game that way, because twice now, essentially. Well, the first time round, it was Zach not being covered from behind. How on earth, one, the rest of his team let him get that far forward without cover? Here we in team chat straight away going team, question mark, time and time again. And Feral even there not checking the corners properly as well. So far feeling a little bit scattered between both sides, although it is Vexed who is still ahead when it comes to numbers in a 3 versus 2 and still in possession of the point here as well, choosing to play on it rather than off it, which is what Wind and Rain did when they were defending this point earlier on today.
Just a little prick.
So you still have a bit of room presence. You have Pi up top, and Jesus holding down the fort, has those echo drones, can potentially use that to scout out the positions of these last remaining attackers. And then Dumpling as well, located here at Bicycle Storage, being that also that second layer of protection for Jesus, because again, those echo drones will win you that round if it comes down to that plant being planted or stopped by the Sonic Burst. You have 30 seconds on the clock. You have found one on to Echo, a big kill as well. Pi will drop down to try and retain control of the bomb site. Diffuser will get planted right at Laundry Door. Harris will hold the angle in towards the B and will find it. Dumpling eliminates Blackout. A 1 versus 1. Dumpling, can he pick up the pieces where he could not the last 1v1 inside of Kitchen? And he will get it. Dumpling, quick cleanup, eliminates Harris. And Vexed, for the first time, take the lead.
There are many times in Siege, I think, where you detest your teammates for mashing on that detect enemies button X, time and time again. When you're in a 1 versus 1 at the very end of a round like that, even at this level of play, it's a lot quicker to just mark where they are as a team rather than actually call it out as well. It's a good work from the rest of his team there as well, not just idling around saying, come on mate, you can do it, actually contributing towards that victory. 5-4 to Vex. They've turned it around from a 4-2, won 3 rounds on the bounce. But Wind and Rain were in a great spot as well, where they won 3 of the first 4 rounds. If they can pull this round back, it's anyone's game.
This is exactly the same character that we've seen Wind and Rain perform. They also took their first 3 bomb sites. They completed the full rotation. And Vex have just did the same. So what either happens here is Vex have the momentum, they steamroll and win 7-4, or else Wind and Rain pull this back just like Vex did and at least get those 2 rounds on the board, which is needed for at least a draw.
That's what we'll be looking towards. If it goes to 5-5, then it does make it a very likely draw, I think, in that case. Given how it ended last time around, 4-2, 4-2 in either half, pretty much expected. The big question, and where we saw it work out in the favour of Vex last time, was they adapted towards the latter half of their attack in half. Wind and Rain, and again, it's probably your favourite word of today, I think, is adaptation. Yep. Adapting on the fly, changing things as and when you need to, and fixing previous mistakes.
Yeah, like we said, this is a match where no strategies will be involved. Sure, maybe quick pocket strategies, but really no thought being put in towards them. They're just doing it for the sake of doing it.
It's been like cavemen just being like, bomb that way, smash wall now, go for it, and then get flanked.
Yeah,
it's always been the way. It's so lucky style play. It's beautiful to watch in some ways, and some ways you're sort of go, guys, come on.
I can't believe this guy just insulted 2 teams from the ESL Premiership, calling them cavemen.
When I'm sat here in like gold 2, yeah, I can't really say much about that, can I?
Unbelievable.
But I think anybody here watching
You would say that about Dumpling? Sure, alright, he's Scottish, I'll give you that one, but...
What kind of insult's that? Is that racism coming out of your mouth right now, Demo?
What part of racism does that exist in that?
You're talking about Scottish people being like, well, he is Scottish. I'm like, what's that excuse got to do with anything?
I don't.
Disgusting.
I don't understand.
Absolutely disgusting.
This
grenade could be disgusting.
Oh,
get peeked in front of the face, man! Dumpling finds him. There you go. Just we were talking rubbish about him. He pops up and goes big. Already down into a 5 versus 4 for Vex, and only 45 seconds into that round. This is quite similar to what we've seen already in a lot of ways, was when it comes down to the opening kills coming through. Last time round, it was kind of very backwards and forwards. Zach, for example, getting ran in from behind by Feral. This time around, it was Dumpling popping up far closer than they ever expected and getting that easy kill trade across. All I'm saying is, thank God it wasn't one of the hard breaches, because they still need them to be doing their job.
You're not expecting Blackout to really start aggressing hard, and you're not expecting Maverick even to do that hard breach work.
Entry frag a Thermite, that's all I'm saying.
And this is why you're gold too. So, looking at Maverick, I'm expecting him to try and work his way in towards that vault area. That would be the more ideal position, but that's not going to happen as Feral gets the better of Tyrant. So this does set up Vex for yet another Vex defense. They are looking to take 4 defenses on the trot. Speed still has that SMG-12, which can rip in through quite a lot of people, and also the wall has been opened. But this is where it comes down to the real critical aspect that Wind and Rain need to delay. We've seen that, looking for example, Team Secret, they were in deficits. They pulled it back and win rounds from that. You still have one more logic bomb as well from Speeds. He's going to have to call that in if he wants to try and make the push along with Blackout, who is still getting tagged up even more. So that's 2 impact nades being used by Pi. 50 seconds on the clock. Speeds does eliminate Zach, but Blackout still so low HP, and Speeds as well.
Into the spot now where that push is starting to come. Oh, someone's been down injured as well. It's going to be the Dokkaebi, and even the Thermite's down stupidly low as well. 3 versus 2 for Vex. God, where have I said that today so many times over already? Let's see, though, if Wind and Rain can clutch it out. We've seen quite a few come through already today. Already into a 1 versus 3. It's not quite to be the case. And Harris has a little jump for joy at the end there as he is eliminated. Pi getting that final kill. Vexed have brought us to 5-5 demo. We're into those potential 2 final rounds here, where this could end as a draw, which I think will probably do justice for how this map has played out.
I don't think this is going to go to a draw. I think Vexed want all of these points. It's up to Wind and Rain if they want to have that. Even if Wind and Rain have this next round, they still won't have to go and get the next one.
I don't know why I thought it was 5-4.
It's not 5-4.
I thought it was 5-4 to Wind and Rain, so we just gone to 5-5. I was like, oh, it's a draw time. No, it was the other way around. Vexed in the lead, sorry. What can you say when you've rolled literally 4 rounds in a row? It's got to be a miracle playing up for Wind and Rain to pull these next 2 back is the correct thing to say in this instance. They have yet to actually stop Vexed, and that's what worries me. If they'd done it maybe in the second round, they showed they've got the capability to do it, but so far, there has been nothing to suggest they can slow down the aggression coming out of Vexed. And it's always come down to those final few kills in the die moments of a round where Vexed have really popped off.
To locate and defuse as many bombs as they can.
So we move into yet again another statuary defense. If I'm not mistaken, this has been the most picked bomb site that we've seen tonight.
4 times, I think?
1, 2, 3, 4. This is the 5th time it's being played. Wow. And we've seen Kitchen, I believe, 3 times. And then Games also at 3 times as well. So certainly Statuary standing strong amongst the other ones. We haven't seen any Library, which no surprise really. But certainly for Statuary, I think it fits in more of the standard way that we play Siege, which is clear out a room, open up the wall, and try and go for a plant, which is kind of the whole strats for Siege kind of revolve around. You, for example, Clubhouse, that's a map which kind of fits that same aspect. But for this particular bomb site, we've seen a lot more roaming potential be available. C4s from below. Remember, destructibility factor is up the wazoo in this map.
Up the wazoo. I love that saying. It's very true. This time round, they've gone for exactly the same sort of setup as what we've seen before. I think both teams, when sort on this point, have always pushed in from this east side balcony, got inside the bedroom, and gone for a push there onto that big wall. The problem now is it's been bandited up. They've got to send someone downstairs to get rid of those bandits before then go for the breach using the thermite. And this has been the problem, I think, where teams have failed to do that. They've just been stalled outside this wall. Admittedly, that was more of a problem on the other side when it came round to it. So hopefully, for Wind and Rain, they can not repeat the same mistakes that we saw Vexed make, but just go straight for it. And speaking of Bandit, well, there'll be no tricks coming through because he's already down.
Yeah, this is what we expected. This is what we talked about, is simply going below. You get rid of the Bandit trying to play there. Very common strategy. Of course, you also need support, which is Harris is providing, because whenever you know someone's below trying to get rid of the Bandit, roamers are going to be automatically alerted to your presence, and they will try and eliminate you from killing their bandit. Located. Vexed as well, playing aggressive inside of the bathroom, has those Sophia charges, and actually a very good operator for actually pushing that room, because typically you see a defender playing in behind that desk or either in towards the rotation hole, so having those Sophia charges makes that little walk-in a little bit more easy.
And that's exactly what they managed to do in a minute and a half, which is roughly what we saw work out when it was the other side's chance to have a go at this one. When Vexed managed to do it, it did take them a bit longer. And in most cases, only managed to get a few holes in, whereas this time around, the Thermite's got up there, got it open, does die a few seconds after, but his work is done. That hole is open, they can make the play happen. There was a couple of injuries down there as well. 4 versus 2, though. Like you said, I think Vexed are about to clutch this one out as well. There's another kill coming back across from Vexed. Don't get those two confused. 3 versus 2 on the other side. Looking towards that Zofia, though, with the diffuser so low here as well. 1 bullet's all it's going to take to slow him down. And once again, a team is pinned here inside Master Bedroom. Not sure where to peek, not sure where to push. You're looking towards maybe not Torrent here as well to do some big work on the Ash. Been a quiet round so far, getting rid of more of the utility downstairs, but outside of that, nothing much. You can see him, I was about to say, how long did it take you to get that spray? Finds the second as well. Is he about to clutch it back in for Wind and Rain now? 1 man left standing. Got to be able to deal with Dumpling. Playing on the Jaeger, finds one. It's into a 1 versus 1. Can Wind and Rain keep the dream alive, or do Vex take it home here as well? They're playing round the corner. This feels so reminiscent to last time round. The ADS is the big saving play here as well. Who gets the kill? He was round the corner. Tyrant crutches it out as well, and Vexed not quite able to finish it off right now. Wind and Rain get a second lifeline and get to go for this one again.
Well, we take it to our final round off our Villa. What a match we could have picked for our match to watch. It certainly is heating up here as we head into our last round of Villa. This will either end as Vex walking away with all 3 points, or Wind and Rain salvaging a draw from a very formidable lead that they had going into this. Looking at the kills, Pi and Feral both on 11, Dumpling standing strong with 12, the highest kills we've had in this match. But hey, you have to give credit to Tyrant. He's really boosted his KD there with a massive triple kill pulled out of nowhere. I was getting worried whenever he didn't see the guy inside a globe room. I was like, hello?
You seen this shape, this person shape? You see this all the time when you play Siege? Shoot.
I question it.
You know why he didn't identify it? Wasn't playing with the new skins. He was like, all I know to look for now...
The Wind Bastion skins.
Yeah, all I know to look for right now is white and orange camo. That's about all I know to look for. He's like, that doesn't look normal. I haven't seen that in quite a while. Oh, it's a person. Bang, dead. End of story. But now he's got to do it all over again because it's still match point. For both sides, you'd argue. If this goes to wind and rain, it's a draw. If Vex win, well, they managed to find themselves in a spot where they've undo the damage from the last time these two teams met, and they propel themselves into second in the group. There's a lot riding on this one game because ultimately that will have a huge influence going into the final 2 weeks, where you probably expect both teams, or maybe not both, maybe you expect one to beat them, to lose to Epsilon potentially, and then arguably against Unnamed, that's kind of an unknown game there. You're not quite sure which way it's going to go between either side.
So this will be our 6th time seeing this bomb site. So for all the bomb sites we've seen being played, this has been 50% of that. So that does stand out quite a bit, like we've talked about, and then the other 50%. 25 of it being inside a kitchen, and also 25 of it being over towards games room. What are Vex going to do differently? I don't really know what they could do differently. I just think it was immense gun skill from Tyrant that really saved them that round.
I love how you basically answered your own question there. You're just like, wonder what Vex are going to do differently? Well, what they are going to do differently is X.
Rhetorical question.
Yeah, mate, I'm totally fine with it. You carry on.
It's very hard for you as a team who's just lost a very easily, round win that would have seen you all 3 points, and then this guy just whips out a free K out of nowhere, which theoretically you have to give credit to him, his own gun skill. I've talked about Tyrant, certainly a gunner. You have to watch him. They didn't watch him that time. He just kind of walked on in the bomb site, and that's what I think that really they've adapted to. I said the last time they defended Statuary, where Vex did win.
Oh no!
Double kill. But going back to what I was mentioning, they rotated someone to another side of the map, and he got 2 kills from it, because they weren't suspecting that. They finally rotated it. Whenever they did, they had numbers advantage in that scenario. Actually, I don't think they had numbers scenario. I think it was a 3 versus 3, but still, that play was enough. Pi still getting pelted by the bullets, and really from this scenario, no. I think that double kills won them the round, because that's Fermite.
Quite possibly. No hard breach remaining makes this a real tough point to assault, as we have seen all night long so far. Well, not all night. All map long so far. It's going to make things tough. And the best thing was, even just the Legion dying there, still ran the clock down to a minute and a half. He's done more than enough in this round. He's ran the clock down 90 seconds. He's got 2 kills. That's everything you could ask for a Roma outside of wiping out the entire enemy team.
Oh, that's a hard shot for him. Like, that's... Yeah, Harris not having the best of ways in that scenario. Zach has also took up the position of his fallen teammate, and it's just collapsed into seams. Vex does refrag, but again, Tyrant's going to have to pull out what he did last time. Jesus will eliminate Vex, and Tyrant has to go for the 1 versus 3 clutch.
Where have we seen this before already, Demo? Already back into a 2 versus 1. Now it's a case of can he take it happen? Almost has 1, but doesn't get the spray down. Immediately threatened, but gets the down. This is technically now still into a 1 versus 1. Valkyrie versus Ash, but Feral's going to find that kill. Anyway, defenders win the round, and Vexed will clutch that map in the last dying seconds. They'll take it away and get their revenge onto the other side.
Well, that was cutting it close down to the wire. Yeah, that was an unfortunate round for Wind and Radiant in general. But that's because they didn't drone. This is, I think they've drone very well this entire time. I don't think that the roamers had the same presence as what we've seen other times from Vex. Wind and Rain were very good at shutting down them early. The one time they don't do it, Pi comes away with 2k, and one of them is your Fermite.
That's it, and the big thing for me at the start of that round was the round before we saw 5 men all running out from the east side towards the same area, so they had the support with them there to actually get the drones in. They brought 3 from there. You all want to get inside the building and start pushing. 1 went north, 1 went south, 1 went middle. There's no one there to really be doing the droning work for you. And like you say, well, Pi was in a great spot to just go, well, this is super easy. Bam, bam. Suddenly you're pretty much guaranteed to win the round unless anything goes massively wrong. And, well, good for Vex. Nothing did go wrong and they clinched the round out.
Yeah, how great was Vex's defensive side on that map? I think they dropped 1 round that entire time.
They took 4 on the bounce, which is better than what Wind and Rain did, where they took 3.
It was really good. Like, for a long time, we did say when we came to that 4th round, we were like, well, this is the time where we saw it change around on the other side, where they did drop a round, so maybe we see it happen here. They kept going, and I was like, oh boy, Oh boy, this is a scary territory to be in now if you're playing on the side of Wind and Rain. It was unfortunate because that last round, if they hadn't made that crucial error at the start where Pi got the double, that could have gone either way. It would have been a belt of a round, but Pi did all the work they needed.
Yeah, Pi definitely seems to be a player. It's not the first time he's clutched up and done some fantastic plays before. Again, there's a complete repeat, and I don't think it surprises you too much either, Demo.
No, I'm not really surprised. I think that the Vexed roster, I think the consistency's starting to build up quite a bit. Their first week was certainly a big testing point to see how they would skate the ice. It was very thin ice for a long time, but you know, they've started to balance them out quite well, and that's a big win for them, especially as a team who wants to get to that LAN. And again, I don't think anybody from that group doesn't want to go to LAN. Who knows? And Flylow, I think they're expecting to just fight for the relegation battle. I don't think at this stage in their group, looking at it, they were expecting to get a LAN spot. Hey, it could happen in playoffs. It's a big if, especially whenever they have to go against second place. At this stage, it could either be Vexed or Epsilon. Both those teams are extreme. But just a bit of a prediction, Vexed versus Epsilon next week, I think we'll decide who gets first place.
I think that's a pretty solid spot to put it into. And again, both of these teams have got the other two teams to play against in the next couple of weeks, which is going to make things really interesting when it comes down to it.
There's 2 weeks left. 2 weeks.
That's it, yeah. And they've both got to play against the other two teams in the group. They've played against each other now, and their remaining fixtures they've got are literally mirror matches. So it's going to come down to, I think, a bit of consistency again. This was a close match when you look at it either way. If they didn't have that clutch in the previous round, okay, maybe you'd argue for Vex it was a bit more of a dominating performance. But Wind and Rain, I don't think they can look at this and go, you know, we actually feel like we're going to lose out in those next 2 games now. We aren't good enough. They won the first time round. It's going to be a really close affair either way, which is just what you want from a game of Siege in a group like this.
Yeah, I think with Epsilon now, they've got a little bit of pressure off their shoulders now, considering the circumstances they're in, especially round difference and all that bits and pieces. But it's still going to be quite tough. I reckon that at least a draw or win in one of these next games, the next 2 weeks, you know, they're pretty much secured at least a playoff. And then by then or last week, we'll know finally if they're going to go straight to offline final or if it's going to be another team due to maybe some upsets or any of those kind of situations.